Hey everybody, we're back streaming some more CastleMiner Z, the remastering. Today, I'll bring him on here in a second. Today I have John with us, and let me pull him back up here, and I'd like to do a short introduction of John. John and I go way back. We worked in Microsoft Research together. That's when we met, and that was like in 2006, I think. I'm getting feeding back some sound here. Yeah, you good? Okay. Yeah, we met in 2006 at Microsoft Research, and then John is the OG Castle Miner guy. Like he actually, to be fair, John was working on Castle Miner before before I was. Like so, I always tell people the story about this where I say that like you came to me and you wanted to work on something, and I was like, let's we got to make Minecraft for the Xbox. And I talked about that in one of the other streams about why I was there, and that's what we did. And John went off and built the engine for that. John typically does the technical heavy lifting around here. So why don't you can take some time to introduce yourself and did I really say that? Did I really say that? I don't remember. That's part of the story. I don't remember. Yeah, John has been responsible for bringing this up at like such a we can't hear John. John has no audio. Okay, sorry. Uh, yeah. Um, how about we should have tested all this stuff instead of wasting time. We were chit chatting about being in the tech industry. Can you say something? See if we hear you. Wow. How about now?
And now, maybe?
Yeah, we got you. Yeah, now we got you. Yeah,
Wait.
my bad. Um, yeah, so you're gonna have to say all that again. That's the
Yeah, just the only story I told was Tom, when we were starting Xbox, I mean, when we were starting the original Castle Miner, I was working at Hidden Path, actually. Um, and Tom had been doing a bunch of X and A games on Xbox. And he's like, we should do Minecraft on this thing. And I was like, no way. There already is a Minecraft. Who's going to play it? And Tom told me he'd give me if we made the game and nobody bought it. Tom told me he'd give me 20 grand, which I thought was an extraordinary gesture.
yeah,
Uh,
I don't remember that, but that's a great story. Sounds like something I would do.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was grandiose.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and John is one of my favorite people to work with. Um,
Yeah,
he's
there's something about I don't know what it is, but we're real simpatico. We really have the same idea about a lot of stuff, so we get along real well.
yeah, yeah. It's and I was saying that John has always done sort of the heavy lifting, the stuff that John was always the person that I was a technical director for a little company before this, and I would always tell people that he was the person I would call at night when I couldn't solve the problems, like because you'd be expected to solve all the problems, and then I would call him at night and be like, man, I don't know what to do about this. Like he was always like, I always think it's like in Tron where you would go to the thing to get the information. Like that was always was like for me, but it was.
That's always been my job is to do the really hard stuff and to set stuff up so other people can use it well.
Yeah, and to his credit, like the engine, the block engine that we have in Unreal just came up so fast. Like it's unreal. It's unreal. It's
But I had a couple of swings at it first. Like,
yeah, yeah. I guess you've built a few of these. So yeah, we've been just clicking along with this. Um, So I don't know. I could start by sort of capping off the stuff we did yesterday. I did a bunch of work on the Oasis last night, and I posted that on the Discord. Tonight, I'm gonna make sure I plug the Discord early instead of at the end of the thing. Let me do that. I always seem to screw up the invite here. This Discord server is run completely by the community. It's not run by me, but these people have been doing a great job over the years of running this and moderating this, and I've been spending a lot of time there lately, um, sharing screenshots of the game and as I do work and getting information. So um, if you're interested in either getting up to date information or giving feedback, oh, I lost John. Uh, there we go. Getting feedback or seeing what's going on at the current state of the game, or like sending messages to me. This is a great place to do it, and these guys have done a great job at running this Discord. So I'm going to pin that up there. Um, we have a question here from somebody. Somebody was asking how difficult was it to make the block system in Unreal.
It's relative. When we did it in XNA, it was pretty straightforward. I tried to do it in Unity, and it was difficult. The shaders were really difficult, and getting mainly because we're dealing with all these textures. Unreal really made that part of it super simple. We were able to use texture arrays, which have a lot of great properties that you can't get out of atlases and stuff, for tiling worlds specifically. So all of that stuff just worked. The hardest part was finding info on how to use the dynamic mesh component, I think it's called, to build your own meshes. Unreal has famously terrible documentation, but it's if you can find somebody talking about it or find examples of it, you can get it through. So I think I got all the block stuff drawing like within what, a week and a
Yeah,
half.
yeah, yeah. And we were scared because we went down a path that we were going through. I'm trying to find. Actually, I was trying to find the screenshots right now. We went through a path where we were building this in Unity with like a pre-made block engine, and when the stuff started coming out of it, to me it looked too much like the old CastleMiner, and I made some mock-ups of like, hey, this is what I want it to look like, and and Unreal just kind of gave us that out of the box.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues on of the previous game was that it was 10 years ago, something like that. And we were aiming for kind of low end devices. It came from the Xbox, which at the time was a fairly low end device. So we had to do a lot of tricks to get it to work fast enough. And the main trick we had to do was do everything on threads all over the place, which makes stuff really difficult. But Unreal it's in C++ and machines are a lot faster now. So a lot of that stuff we can do on the main thread in little sips, and it makes the logic for the code significantly simpler. And because we're not doing we don't have to do the fancy flood lighting. We're relying on Unreal's ray tracing stuff to do that part of the lighting, and that took a huge burden off of it because getting that stuff to work fast is not trivial. Um, so without any of that stuff, it's really straightforward, and it works pretty well.
Yeah, and if you're new here, we're redesigning the game redeveloping the game from the bottom up. It's supposed to be a remaster, but we're using all very, very modern, cutting edge technology. So, like, we're using real time ray tracing for the game, and the most modern version of Unreal Engine that there is. So it's like CastleMiner reimagined, you know, 15 years later, on brand new technology.
And I just want to thank you guys for being such great participants in this. We literally would not be doing this if you guys weren't so excited about it. And it really means a lot to us that you guys have been following us for this long and have played it and are looking forward to playing this new one. It's really great.
Yeah, one of the things I talk about over and over again is I have so much gratitude to the fans for this because what you guys did was so life changing. I won't speak for John, but for me, it was just like absolutely life changing. Like the ability to be able to do what you love doing and to like make that your full time thing is, I think, not something a lot of people like get the privilege of doing.
Yeah.
And it is 100% because of you people. Like like that's like it's your support that allowed that to happen. It was like an absolutely sort of life changing thing, and I have like so much appreciation for that.
Mm. Let's answer a few more questions here. There's uh, we were asking some
A lot of people are asking about the avatars,
yeah,
about
that's
since
a good
that there's
point.
no more Xbox avatars, what we're gonna have. The I'm not a big fan of the SWAT guys coming back. What I keep saying to people is the way that I always imagined the game was like Navy SEALs fighting dragons. So it's likely that we'll have some sort of redesigned player character. The Xbox avatars just aren't an option for us. It's not something we could do. And designing an avatar system similar to that would probably be the equivalent of doing half the game itself. So definitely when we come out of the gate, there'll be most likely a new player character. If the game is supported enough, we can add things as time goes on.
Yeah, believe it or not, that avatar stuff is really it's an awful lot of work. You wouldn't think so, but it's that and UI are things that people always think, we'll just throw this in, and it ends up taking like half the project uh, to do that. It sounds stupid, but it's those things are really hard to get right. But because we're working with Unreal now, and we don't have to write an avatar system from scratch. Like there's good tools in Unreal for doing a lot of this. I think we'll have a much better shot at doing something, uh, you know, good for you guys when we get to it.
Yeah. There's also a lot of like middleware solutions available for Unreal. Like a lot of the advanced like we and the XNA engine was our engine. But when you have an engine that so many other people have used, you can leverage other people's work to bring stuff in there. But our goal is to bring the game up sort of as fast as we can to be kind of like true to the Xbox version of CastleMiner, but just beautiful looking. Um, and then if we have the support from the community, we can keep going from there and building that out. Someone's asking here about the Kickstarter page. We have a Kickstarter page that we have not run our Kickstarter yet. It's been up there for a couple of years, and when we were waiting for the exact right moment where we knew, for me, it was when I knew the project was imminent. Where I knew that it would actually be finished. I wouldn't do that. So when we get to the point where we have enough of people's enough of a game that it looks like that it justifies doing the Kickstarter. We'll run that. I'll post the link to it in the chat. And what you can do right now is you can follow this, um, and it gives us an idea of how many people are sort of interested in the project in general. And I'll leave that up the top for a while.
Uh,
Let Go ahead.
Somebody asking about multiplayer. Yeah, we it's unclear if we're going to have it initially, but it's absolutely one of the main features of the game. Like, you sort of have to have multiplayer. Um, and we have a lot of experience doing multiplayer stuff, so I think that should be reasonable.
I
Although,
don't.
not sure it's going to be the first thing we do. That's kind of up to Tom here.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how difficult that is. Like, like I remember being at a game company like when I was young, and they were saying like, "Oh, we'll just throw multiplayer into this," and I'm like, if you think you're gonna just throw multiplayer in when you're done with a game. It's like doesn't work like that. It ends up usually being sort of like half of everything. That's I don't know, at least has been my experience. Is that like you can it's easy to get a game running. It's really really difficult to get a multiplayer game running.
My intention is like right now we just have the little Unreal avatar running around with his pants on the outside of the screen. Um, as soon as we start adding like real items and enemies and stuff like that, I'm gonna build it as if it's multiplayer, even if we don't expose multiplayer initially. Um, there's getting the code to work right is part of the problem, and then there's also like hosting and starting sessions and getting people leaving and coming in. That's also really difficult. And we'll tackle that, but it would be nice to have like a good fun game going for people to enjoy and then finish the multiplayer. But we'll see how it plays out. There's only, I mean, Tom and I are the only people coding on this
Yeah,
project. So,
we actually used to have more than that.
yeah,
Like we used to have another developer that was really good, but it's like it's just the two of us now. But we were also maintaining an engine. And I'm going to take that excuse at the same time.
true.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, there was but yeah, it's a little overwhelming. And somebody asked here if we would ship without multiplayer, and that's an absolute no to me. Like there's
Yeah.
I've actually had opportunities with people over the years to relaunch the game without multiplayer, and I've decided not to do it because I felt like the multiplayer was sort of like a core element of what the game was all about. I couldn't imagine the game being without multiplayer. So I there's like almost no way that I would ever ship the game without multiplayer. Somebody here is asking about a release date. I get this a lot. We don't know. We don't know what it is. The plan is like soon. Like it's like in 2025. Like it's not. This isn't. You know, CastleMiner forever. Like it's supposed to. Like leading up to this point, like the things weren't aligned to get this done, but everything is sort of here right now, and everything is like in play, and there's several of us working, at least full time on this now. So it's very different than it was up to this point. And if you've noticed over the years, I tend not to make empty promises. So if I don't want to usually announce something unless I'm absolutely sure that it's going to happen. So and another thing that somebody asked is will it release on Xbox? Microsoft, the plan is to do that, and we're working in Unreal, which makes it easy for us to do that. The only thing in there is that Microsoft has to approve us at this point at Microsoft, and I don't have control over that. But my plan is to bring it back to the Xbox. Yeah, that's where its home is. That's where it's supposed to be, to bring it back there. So barring Microsoft not letting us ship it for some reason on the Xbox, that we would, yes, that is the plan. Probably also on other systems as well. But like I've done all the, yeah, I'm in the ID program at Xbox. So
I think Tom is maybe glossing over a lot of the work that goes into a console release when he says it's easy for us to put it on the Xbox.
well, it's not a rewrite to go on the
It's
Xbox.
not a rewrite, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
But
So
Microsoft has a lot of hoops you have to jump through technically
yeah,
to get it on.
it will definitely ship on Steam first. Like
Yeah.
there's Steam is definitely the easiest platform to ship on. It'll start there. And again, based on the support we get there, that's will make it easier for us to move it to the other places.
One thing, this may not be clear to everybody, but like we're making this like neither of us are making money from anything right at the moment. Like we're making this entirely on savings, which are dwindling. So when we talk about like hiring other people or like doing long stuff, like we're trying to very efficiently figure out what we can get to you guys that will be worth it for you, you know. And then once we get that going and we start rolling, then we can start putting more and more stuff into it. But like, we got to eat, sort of.
Yeah. It's kind of serious for us. Like it's like we're it's a like a significant thing for us to do. Like it's this isn't just like a fun little side project or something. Like there's it's like we could all be probably doing other things. So like we are doing this and we are wholly committed to doing it.
Yeah, I'll tell you there. Although it's serious for us, there's nothing I would rather be doing than doing this. This is
Yeah,
I'm very excited about doing this.
we were we were just talking about this before the stream. Is we were talking about how like it would be we would both prefer to be doing this if that was possible. So yeah, somebody's asking here if we considered a Patreon. I have a thing about asking for crowdsource money. I mean, maybe I shouldn't. I always feel like if I'm going to take money from you, I want to present some sort of value to you. But maybe it's something I could look into. It might make the project go a little bit. Like making games is very expensive. Like it's not just the work that goes into it, but there's also it's also very expensive. So uh, I was hoping that at eventually when when the game is enough put together so that we could really present it well for a Kickstarter. I was hoping that people would help us out there because that actually would make a huge difference of whether or not of what we could do basically at that point. But to me, there's a very distinct point when we have something that looks like a game that you could play is the point where like injecting some crowdsourcing into it actually would make a huge difference because it would let us get assets made that we would normally not be able to, or we could bring people on to do like to work on other platforms that we wouldn't have been able to otherwise. It just opens up possibilities for us. People are talking here. I want to, for a second, people are talking here about the YouTube monetization thing. I want to be clear about everything. Is what happened is I lost my monetization for my channel. I need a certain amount of watch hours to get it back. I don't have a motivation to run ads on our videos. I just want to take YouTube's ads off of them. And if you get monetized, you have control of doing this. And I have this thing about running ads over trailers. I don't like to do that. I was shocked when I found out that YouTube was running ads over our videos because we had never done that in the past. So I'm trying to get 3,000 hours on my YouTube account so I can clear those off. So the most helpful thing that anybody in the community can do right now is like, follow, subscribe, watch our streams, watch our old streams. Even if you click one on and throw it in your browser somewhere, that actually helps us a lot. We're not quite there yet. Yeah. Let me run through. I realized I just right before we went through this, I was gonna show off the caves and I broke something. So let me just put that back really fast. And for the people, looks like there's a lot of people here that haven't been to one of these before. Um, and what we can do is just do a quick little fly through in the world. Um, I think hopefully we get this. Yeah, there we go. Okay.
I'm
Uh,
just looking at the chat. Thank you guys for being so supportive. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
yes, and I have totally screwed this up. Okay, let me put this back.
Hey, one thing I think Tom has said this before, but one thing that's new about this stuff is that if in the Xbox version or the Steam version, if you look in front of you and you see the edge of the terrain and you turn around and look behind you and look and see the edge of the terrain, that whole distance, like the world is that deep now. So there's quite a lot we can do underground that we couldn't do in the old one because the old one was only like a quarter the size of that tower high. Now it's
Yeah, one of the things we did is made the world a lot deeper. It was about, I think that I never thought about it like that, but you're absolutely right. The depth of the world was probably the height of the tower from the ground down, and now the world is very, very deep. So here's the new world. It's the old world, just slightly tuned up. The one of the cool things we have here, this is the one we talked about in the last stream, is we have dynamic weather. So we can let me pull this off of here, and we could go from like day to night. uh, get some dramatic sunrises and sunsets, and you can really see the effect of the real time ray tracing in these shots, where you kind of get inside of environments and you can see, how things are kind of lit up indirectly from the sunlight. The lighting is much more realistic. This is like sort of a good indicator of that. Um, and one of the things that we have available to us right now is weather. So, like, these are clear skies, but I could then throw in a thunderstorm. Here you can see. So, and eventually the ground will actually start getting wet as a result of the thunderstorm.
You can hear Tom talking loudly because right now all he can hear is wind blowing and thunder
Yeah, I
crash.
could, I could turn it on so we could hear.
Yeah, too.
And it's cool because of the weather actually, the sound and everything responds like the right way if you're inside of buildings. So it's much more dramatic environment. That's big gaps. I just made a change. Let's take it out. Whoops. I just made a change where I put these big gaps in. Oh, I took it out. And
This is how development goes. You try stuff, doesn't work.
I always forget to save in Rider here, so I always, uh, especially like I find that coding on a stream is a lot more difficult than I thought it would be. Yeah, here we go. So let's here we can put. So let's fly out to like the lagoon here. We did some work last stream. We were like looking at doing the lagoon. One of the things we're gonna have. You could talk about this, John, is the water.
Yeah, yeah. Um, we haven't gotten it in yet, but the plan is to have water that it'll work a lot like Minecraft water, where it kind of flows down and where it hits the ground, it spreads out. So we can have like waterfalls or streams that go like down, you know, slopes and whatnot. Uh, and hopefully, with all the fancy Unreal shaders we have access to now, we should be able to get it looking really good. That's my hope. That'll be the next big thing I put in.
Is the water? Is that what you're working on?
Yeah.
And one of the things you notice, like this is all stand-in. The water will look amazing when it's done. This is just a stand-in block, but the water has been strategic. I don't think you've seen this yet. Is strategically placed on the edges of the plateaus here, so that it will trickle down over things.
Mm.
You seem maybe concerned about that.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah. So last night we were doing this on was what the last stream was supposed to be about, and I got around to this last night. Is this is the difference from the original CastleMiner? I kind of roughed up these tops of these plateaus a little bit, so they're not completely flat anymore. And I put this water. Yeah, and I put some water on the edges. And the other thing I did too, a lot of attention to detail to the world builder this time around, is that there's no like weirdness with the blocks meeting the world, and I paid a lot of attention to what's underground, which I didn't really do in the original version of CastleMiner. Like you could see down in the rivers here. Let me turn the lights on. There's actually like a lake bed down here, and the way that things connect underground, the way that the worlds transition across each other, has been improved. Let me just really fast before we go into anything else, I'll fly out to the desert out here. This is the end. We're transitioning into the desert, and you can see the transitions from these biomes are a little bit better now. One of the things we did in the other streams is that we put oases in the desert, and I just happen to know that there's one up here. Hey, we're going to see if the tree depositor works. We just changed the tree code last night, and I didn't actually go out here and test it. So there's just north. It's funny how you learn we use the same world over and over again for testing, so that we can tell but you learn where stuff is. So I know just north of this place is an oasis. So we have like there's a little desert oasis here with water and palm trees, and these will pop up in the desert. and the palm trees actually look unique now.
I saw a question on here about the wall of lights out way out in the distance. Uh, that it's funny because that was an unintentional effect. When we do the Tom figured out why this happens. When we do the tower in the middle, uh, we figure out where it is by a distance from the center, from 0, 0 basically, and our numbers were overflowing, and so we were getting this negative value, which we were always expecting that value to be positive. But when it went negative, it meant we were just drawing that central spire of the tower everywhere. Once you get out past this, and what was neat about that? It was an accident, but what was neat about it was really unexpected and kind of creepy
Yeah,
out
you
there.
you guys saw it before we did. Like I
Yeah, yeah.
remember when we first saw a YouTube video of this, I thought, no way. I was like, there's no way that this is real. Like like somebody had to hack the game or something like that. Because and then I found the bug that caused it. I was like, wow, that's such a weird side effect. Because we always expected, especially on the Xbox 360, stuff to go wrong when you went far away. Because I remember, I think I was telling this story in the last stream, is that you came to me and you said, things are gonna screw up. When you get far enough away, and I was like, let it roll. Like, let's just see, let's see what happens. And we got Lantern Land, but we have to pay some sort of homage to Lantern Land. Like, there's no doubt about that, because it's such a it became such like a legendary thing in the game. Like, so many people had YouTube videos. So there's a moon popping up over the horizon there. It's pretty cool. Um,
We also sort of think that was neat, but why don't we do neat stuff intentionally
yeah,
instead of unintentionally? Uh, yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, no, you can go ahead. I'm like
Looking at
I'm just
looking at some questions here.
Yeah, here where I'm flying into from the desert into the mountains. This used to be a really rough transition, but now we have this happening sort of gradually and smoothly, which we've done in a lot of these things. And actually, the underground transitions smoothly too. Um, this should be familiar because the mountains haven't changed very much. But here let's do this just for effect, uh, because people seem to like to see this. I think we're out at 4,000. Yeah, this is sort of we're in the Arctic over here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to trigger a blizzard. And one of the cool things about the blizzard is that you'll actually start to see snow accumulating on things outside here. And I got my light on again, but it's like, and if we sit here long enough, you could start seeing snow accumulating on surfaces. So the weather will be changing dynamically. So you can just kind of imagine sort of being like stuck in a cave, during the winter here in a blizzard. It's like a much, much, much different experience than it was before.
Yeah, this is Unreal 5, and this um, we're using a weather package that called what is it called? Uh,
Ultra dynamic skies. Yeah.
Ultra Dynamic Sky. Yeah, which is for both of us, it's the best third party package we've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah. It's a really, really great. It gives us really great skies. I mean, I could show you the cloud cover, and it lets you customize them in a way that we could make them feel like the CastleMiner. That hasn't been done yet. The skies have not been customized to make them look the way that they should. But like, I could change the amount of clouds here. They could grow at times. I could roll a storm in from over the distance. That's something that we'll be doing. Um, somebody, it's funny. Somebody just said something about the aurora, like
Yeah.
joking about that. But here, if I go clear skies, this is probably only going to happen in northern uh, climates. But let's go to nighttime, and we have the aurora in the sky up here. Um, Looks really great, but yeah, this stuff hasn't been tuned up yet and hasn't been made. This is still like all stand-in kind of stuff right now.
I'm really psyched to start getting the enemies in. That's when it's my way of thinking. That's when it'll seem really fun.
I realize I have the caves all jacked up around here because this is what I wanted to do during this stream. One of the things I really actually wanted user input for during the streams was to understand how people felt about the caves, because I realized that half the game happens underground, and we could be doing a lot with the caves that we haven't done yet. So one of the things I wanted to get out of the stream was to understand how attached, I guess, people were to the caves, and how much they wanted them to change. I made the in this build. I have the caves are much thicker than they used to be. I should probably flip it back just for contrast. But when you go into these caves underground, oh, let me pop underground really fast because we to show you that the world is so much deeper than it used to be. I could drop a light on and go down. And before, I think we were like 36 blocks. I think uh it's like 200 now or something like that. Like it's like way deeper than it was before. But I'm still going down. These aren't I'm still down. I'm in spaces underground. I found the best way to light these is to drop lava around. This is another thing you can see with the real-time ray tracing. You can see how these lava blocks light the world up. It's just like um, it's cool. It's like it's really cool looking. These are bigger caves than before. I thought it would be cool to have areas where the caves were bigger than they were, and I also wanted to put big clearings in the cave. Yeah, somebody's saying the caves were too short. So I'm talking about two separate things. One of them is that the world is way deeper, so you would have to go through the caves, and the other one is that the caves were kind of narrow. And I did that in the beginning because the world was so short. Because if the caves were too wide, there would just be like one or two of them that would just take you immediately down to the bottom. But now that I have all this space, I could put sort of bigger caves and a mixture of big and small caves together. So I had a bunch of plans for doing that. But these are caves that are just bigger than they're the same Castle Miner caves, but they're bigger than they were before. Um, and but I didn't know, what I actually don't know is if that's going to upset people. Like if people are going to play this and be like, hey, wait, this isn't Castle Miner anymore because the caves look totally different. And one of the things that we did here in an earlier stream was we revamped Hell, and you can see I'm still going down. Like there's more caves. I still have not reached the bottom of this yet. Here's our new ores. This is what a copper ore looks like. The materials are a little screwed up, but I gave each of the ores like a distinctive look, so that it wasn't just color anymore. And we're still going down. We have not reached the end of the world yet. Here's some diamonds that we ran into. And now we're in Hell. The sky is not right in Hell, meaning like the background here shouldn't be blue. But here's we got Hell has stalactites hanging down. Before, hey, we got the tower. We can see the tower. I always think it's funny when you come down here and you can see the tower. The lava is different too. Lava is
This is placeholder art, but
I'm
you,
gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna do a shout out to Sadistic here for a second. Like it's great to see you. Like this, like he was one of the very early streamers that did our game, and like I always appreciated the coverage and the support that he gave us. So I just like hello to you. I haven't seen you on one of these streams yet, but I it's great to see you again.
I'm looking for questions. Scrolling back up here.
So the question that I have is that are people going to be upset if the caves are different, if they look different than they were before? Like, is it, or were the old caves special for some reason? Because I think that there's just so much opportunity. We did a lot of stuff. The last couple streams, we did a lot of stuff with the world builders, and I feel like everything's been improvements so far, and I think everybody's kind of liked them. But I want to make sure that like we don't deliver a game that isn't Castle Miner. No.
Yeah, to that end, I just want to speak to the people who are asking about skeletons and dragons. Absolutely, we're doing dragons. We have to do dragons.
I keep saying that Castle Miner is Navy SEALs fighting dragons, and like the dragons are just such a fundamental part of the game. There's no way that we would ship without dragons.
Yeah, yeah, and skeletons and zombies and creepy stuff in the dark that makes creepy noises. I always wanted to have stuff crawling on the ceiling, so I'm gonna try to get that in.
Now you're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, what we're going for is atmosphere and creepiness, and also, the gunplay feeling really good, like a lot like the old CastleMiner was. But we have so much more resources to do stuff with now.
So why don't you look at questions? Well, I'm gonna try to bring back the original caves here for a second, but in reverse.
Sure.
So that everybody can kind of see where the differences are, and we can decide. And I kind of want input about how we feel about stuff, because as I do this stuff, I think it looks cool, but then I think like I don't want to upset everybody. This is the old density of the caves, I'm pretty sure.
I see some questions about underground structures. We've actually been talking about that for the last few days. That'll almost certainly be a thing. We got a lot of space now, and we got to make it more interesting, I think, than just the holes we had before. What else we got? Yeah, Tom said it earlier, but we're trying to keep this castle miner, right? Like, we don't want to turn it into Minecraft. There's already Minecraft. We sort of want that feeling that castle miner gave you, where you were in danger, but everything felt great to use and it was creepy. Like that. That's what we're really going for, and we're hoping we can just do, better stuff, but not get away from. We're not trying to ditch stuff we did before. See, asking. So there's a lot of questions about specific gameplay stuff. I can't really answer definitively whether we're going to have this specific feature in or that specific feature in. We're going to try to do everything we can from the original Castle Miner, so you don't feel like you're, like it's a huge step back. But I don't really know exactly what it is. The world is so different now. We're probably going to tune things a little more differently. We probably have to tune things a little differently than we did in the previous version. Otherwise, it'll be boring here. Definitely new enemies. Definitely new enemy mechanics. I don't know what they will be, but I'm really looking forward to doing a lot of interesting enemies.
What you're looking at here, what I have here is I've taken the whole world and I've like turned it inside out. And this is what the caves would look with. These would be the empty spaces of the caves. So this is how I would design. This is when I go about designing the world builder. This is the kind of stuff I do. So I want to be able to visualize the caves, but being able to visualize these things underground is like very, very difficult. So the first thing I do is I get rid of the world and I turn everything that would have been hollow into something solid. And I get an idea of the density and the size of the caves. So when I look at these caves, I look that they're just about high enough, and this was intentional in the first Castle Miner, that you could walk through these, but they were tight. And it was because the world really only went down probably was probably about this distance, I think, in the
Yeah,
original
it was
game.
really absurdly
Yeah, and
short
you could
window.
look down to the bottom here, like you can't even. It's actually in the fog. Like it's so much further. So one of the first things I was gonna do was I was going to make the caves bigger, and they probably would start small on the surface and then grow bigger as they went down in the surface. But I don't have all that set up right now. That's kind of the stuff that I do offline. So that was the change that I had in here previously, which I'll just drop back in. Um, and I just did like a simple, like a scaling, almost about 2 times the size, just taking these caves and scaling them up by like 1.5 times, so that they're wider and bigger when you walk through. And if we run this, you got to use a little bit of imagination to think of what it would be like to be inside of these instead of outside of them. Um, And here we go. You can see that they're just in general bigger. One of the things this is showing me right away is that I probably need a mixture of both. I probably need narrow caves, but we kind of see this in places like this, narrow caves and thick caves together. But this is a much, much bigger cave system. This is what, when we were underground just a second ago, these were the caves that we were seeing. So this is the difference between the old caves and the new caves. Um, And John, if you see anything in the comments, you can totally cut me off here as I'm doing this. Like, just feel free to do that.
Somebody's asking you to post the Discord link again.
Sure, sure. We could flip from the uh,
I like the
Kickstarter.
idea of the day counter system. Um, we sort of, in the original game, we sort of wanted to make moving the thing you wanted to do to make it more interesting. Um, but it's nice to have some kind of record of how long you've been doing stuff. For the soundtrack, it's probably going to be. I don't think we may use the same music. I'm not sure.
We will use the same music. There will at least be the same music and then extra music on top of that. I have the music was such an important part to me for Castle Miner that it's the, there'll be a mixture of all the old stuff and new stuff most likely.
The flooded caves. My intention right now is to have the water not be like real water, like it doesn't fill caves up, it just flows and disappears, just because it gets out of hand really easily. But that doesn't mean that's what it's definitely going to be.
So one of the things I looked at putting in here right away is areas underground that are very, very big and open, um, like clearings. And I'm marking these as a different block in this as I'm drawing them, and they're totally not. Oh, they are showing up. There we go. And you can see these like openings, like big openings in the caves. And I think I was putting some screenshots in the Discord last night. And it's funny now with the caves bigger, that actually the effect of that is not as uh, not as interesting. But these would represent like big openings inside of the caves. And I thought I could do. I actually probably should make these bigger. I thought I could put some similar things like stalactites. Here's a big one. It's an interesting thing about generating a world like this. It's like you see what you see. You get what you get. So you have to, kind of look around even when you make this stuff. But here's an example of it would be a big void inside of a cave that we would have stalactites or something inside of there. And what I can do is flip this all back now and look at what the world looks like. And I'm going to take a second to do that.
Oh, I love the idea of an underground mushroom forest. That's that's super cool. Yeah, and some kind of like an enemy, like a dog, fast moving dog. Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I like the idea of the hellhounds uh,
Yeah.
chasing you. I made a mistake. Uh, Coding in real time is like, remember there was an old Simpsons joke about doing live animation was hard on the animators' wrists. It's like kind of how I feel now. It's like typically not something like usually this is stuff that takes hours and hours and hours of doing. And originally when I started doing these streams, my plan was to kind of do them, just like let people sit here while I was putting the world together over hours. But I realized that that's actually not that interesting to watch, especially if I get stuck. This I don't think we would ever ship with anything like this, but it looks like a cool volcano. Like I don't know, John, if you'd ever seen the pictures of this, but the way that this void ends up penetrating this thing by the original tower and looks like a big volcano. But if I start going underground, you get a sense of what the having underground clearings would look like. So here's what the bigger caves. You know what I was doing last night too is I was popping the attenuation, that light out further. Uh, I gotta be careful because this actually crashed the game last night. It's cool to do this with you on here. I had a point light and I was just gonna change the attenuation radius out, and
What's this for?
I'm trying to get more light down here. This is the one of the problems that I keep running into is that when I'm doing this I have very very bad lighting conditions. Like it's hard to visualize this stuff, but this
Yeah,
is a
right.
this is a cool shot here. Like I don't have my light on. Like you have yeah, it crashed. I don't know why changing the
Um,
lighting attenuation crashes the game, but
huh.
yeah,
You're changing the. I'm sorry. We can talk about it.
yeah. It's I'm just trying to get some stand-in light so that I can see big spaces underground.
Sort of want to have a like a flashlight that sees far but doesn't light up everything, and
One
then
of
like a
one of
torch that lights up everything but doesn't go very far.
Yeah, one of the things I want to say, since we have the ability to do all this really cool lighting with Unreal, like I want to take advantage of it. And one of the things I always wanted in the game from the very beginning was glow sticks that you could throw around. Hoping that John isn't like cringing when I say that. It's
No, it's awesome.
obligated him to something that. Let's go back down this hole again. So you can see the effect of having larger caves in the game. Um, what I was going to say here is this shot is actually pretty cool because it really gives you an idea of the ray tracing that's going on inside the game. Like you can see how the rest of this cave here is kind of, being, and there's a fog in here that's also being lit up. And it's all volumetric fog. I don't know how that stuff is set up right now. In the last stream with Heinz, he, kind of showed up what the volumetric fog potentially will look like. But everything's not, the values aren't set up for this right now. But here is a big clearing, a big cave with a clearing. Um, and you can see the caves are wider now. So I'm kind of curious about how people feel about this. And what you have to imagine is being chased by, skeletons inside of here. Like it's on some level, your imagination when you make games is one of the most important tools that you have. But these are much less confined spaces than the old game was. Do the build block trick again. If we can kind of get it, because this is probably not showing up well on the stream. So there's several hours of tuning that's involved with getting this right, but it's about like building a mixture of big spaces and little spaces together. See if we dig down further and find like another random cave, if we can get a better feel for how that's going to look. There's still some small caves in here that are reminiscent of the old caves, but a lot more of them. And here we've stumbled into another really big void. So this is what I'm talking about. This is a intentionally big void, and I can tell by the shape of the space itself that it's that second void that we added on top of the first one. this is kind of what I'm talking about. I'd like to dress this up. Like I'm hoping I could get stalactites in here in the same way that Hell has. And it's just like these big spaces because we still have so much space underground compared to, in fact, this cave system just keeps going. We might be able to make it all the way to the bottom like this. To me, exploring the caves was one of the funnest parts of the game, so I, like to make that more interesting. Wow, and this one just keeps going.
Yeah, you guys were mentioning like a spaceship that looks like a spaceship. One of the things we didn't really take advantage of in the past is having like interesting models in addition to the blocks in the world. I think we kind of like to do some of that this time too. It was kind of a pain because of the way it was designed last time. We'll try to make that a little easier so we can do a better job of it.
You can see even with that going through that deep cave, we've still again we finally hit hell down now. Um, so that is an example of kind of where I want the caves to be. Actually, as I look at this, I think there might be a little too big. Like I might want to pull that back a little bit. But the idea is that the caves are much bigger and more expansive than they were before. And I guess what I want to know from the community is like, is this okay? Like, is this something that does this bother you? Does it not feel like Castle Miner anymore, or is this something that you like, think is a cool addition to the game? One of the things I keep saying about through all this is during all of this, I've maintained a code path that generates the old world exactly like it used to be. So I'm hoping in the final game that there'll be a mode where you can, literally play on the same exact castle line there was before. The world is actually bigger than it was before too. It's actually, you have to walk further away.
Geez, you killed the first dragon with a pistol. Nice.
Yeah.
I think an underwater biome sounds really cool. It's um, I'm not entirely sure how it fits into how we're modeling water, um, but I mean that would be super cool.
Yeah. The other thing I thought about too is actually is uh, big crevasses that reach, narrow that reach down. But I'm wondering if that makes it too easy to penetrate the bottom of the map. Because now as I'm going through this with bigger tunnels, it's actually way easier to get down here than it was before. But I think it's more fun than burrowing through solid rock all the way down to the bottom of this. Um, One of the things I can do out here, let's see if we teleport out to like 4,500. Yeah. We could go to the descent, the place where the world kind of falls apart, and you can see that this is actually because of the depth and the size of the world. This area is a lot bigger now. Um, And I'm kind of curious to see what happens with the caves out of this place. I actually haven't seen it yet. This is the place of the world where the cave system actually becomes very visible because of the way that the world sort of fractures apart as it goes down. Um, Actually, I kind of like it, to be honest. I always thought going down in here with the lava was kind of cool.
Mm, looks really magical.
Kind of gives you a sense of like the depth and scale of the world at this point.
Oh, I can see I need to turn off the lava plane when I'm not showing those chunks. It's interesting. Well, Kraken would be cool. Or like that. What's that thing from The Lord of the Rings outside the Moriah mine, the Watcher in the water or something? Yeah, Padgel's not here. The is mentioning maybe having armor as a thing. Yeah, we would love to add more gameplay stuff. Um, Tom mentioned lights earlier. Armor would be cool. Really trying to get more just fun stuff to do and have. Character creator probably not coming soon. It, we were discussing this earlier in the stream, but character creators are ridiculously take a ridiculous amount of work to do. And right now we're just kind of focusing on getting the game working. But because we're in Unreal now, we have a lot more options. We should be able to do something good with characters.
I spent a lot of time trying to get the transitions between biomes good. This I remember this used to be a lot, literally a line, the Arctic between the Arctic and the descent here, and now I went for sort of like a glaciers falling over, like rolling over kind of thing here, and you can see where it just like it's a significant improvement over the way that the biome transitions were before. We're rounding out the hour here. I think we'll probably field some questions, and then we will probably wrap this up. I appreciate before we end it. I appreciate everybody coming out and supporting us like this. Like, come watching these streams is like the most valuable thing you could do for us right now. And getting the word out there, like, follow, subscribe, let your friends that you used to play with know that, there's another CastleMiner game coming. That's, and, just kind of follow our stuff and follow along with what we're doing. Yeah, the underwater biome. I like the idea of an underwater biome. There's technical reasons why that might be difficult. Also, fit one of the issues I have is fitting that in with the world as it is. Right now, I'm not sure I'm going to add any brand new biomes. At least not when we ship. I have some plans for a way to do that, but I don't want to like change the world in a very significant way um, as of right now. Yes, we will release a Steam page at some point in the near future. Usually, I think. Oh, here's a little. I think we ran into this on the last stream. Was this little crash site that doesn't have an alien crash site that doesn't have a space rock in the middle? But we want to get to a point where what I'd like to do is to get to a point where the game looks like it's supposed to look in the end. Um, It's cool here. We're watching the aurora reflect off the snow. It's actually pretty cool.
Not so sure about a distinct attack for each biome. For the dragons, I'm not. I can't commit to us having the resources to be able to pull that off at this point. But we'll do the best we can. I mean, variety is what makes it interesting.
Somebody's asking for vehicles. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, that was something you wanted to put in a
Yeah,
long time ago.
yeah. Um, it would be easier now than it would be have been back then.
Yes, agreed.
And here we can see the transition from the mountains to the desert. We're starting to pick up the rocks here. moon is falling behind the horizon, which is actually a really good segue into wrapping things up, I think. Oops, I always keep doing that. Oh, did we lose John? Oh, there he is.
You guys have been so great. It's really a pleasure to be here talking with you, and uh, I- I'm really excited to get this into your hands so you can enjoy it. We've been going nuts about thinking what how much potential we have here to really make a to take CastleMiner and just amp it up, make it
Yeah,
that
and really, it's all up to you guys.
yeah.
Like it's our ability to do this is all up to you. Somebody asked here on the stream how it feels to gain so many subscribers a week. It feels really great. It's great that everybody's coming out to support us. It's that like this is what makes this possible is you guys being devoted to this after so long and being so interested in it. Again, I can't be more possibly more grateful than I am for the support. And I was saying to these guys because it's just all the original people working on this, which is kind of like weird and lucky that this ended up happening. That uh, working on a game where people already know what it is so much better. Like it's so it's so much better to be able to have people that are interested in what you're doing and not to wonder um, uh, how stuff is going to be received, and the amount of love and support that we've gotten from the community has been really great. Cool. So I think we're gonna wrap this up. I appreciate everybody coming by. I'm trying to do these every day, but it's if you guys like these, this is like just let me know because I'll keep doing them because like I'm splitting my time right now between like doing videos and writing code all night. So it's like I'm on like a 24-hour cycle right now. So if you guys like the streams, like definitely like and subscribe. And if as long as people are watching them, we'll still do. I'm not sure I can do them every day like we're doing. I'm not sure I'd have something to show every day, but like I'll keep these going regularly if you appreciate these. Thank you very much, John. Do you have anything you want to say before we go?
Nope, this has been great. Love you guys.
Okay, great. Um, bye bye.